Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the market update. Traders and investors, listen to this. Important is that Trump and China are beefing a little bit right now, and Trump saying that the US is stronger. Of course, beef also continues, especially in between Iran and the US still have no agreement. Trump said the last peace proposal from Iran to end the war was not satisfying. And then here Trump goes on and says Iran will 100% stop uranium enrichment. So the big focus now, going from regime change to Strait of Hormuz closed to now uranium. Now they're fully focused on that because it doesn't seem like that the US neither could finish task number one, which is a regime change, nor task number two, which is reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Output, if I check right now here, on my second desktop, Strait of Hormuz output, we have 9 ships transiting now the Strait of Hormuz, which is a 15% of normal capabilities. So it's still very much restricted at current time. That is 4.9% through output. With 9 transitions in the last 24 hours. So Strait of Hormuz is still a big issue. And today, of course, the most important thing is we had CPI come in. CPI came in with core CPI, and CPI yearly. We have 0.4%. That's 0.1% better than the forecast, which means we have more inflation than 0.6 is met. And then we have 3.7% and 3.8%, right? I love to use Forex Factory for that, just because if you're a little bit confused about what all of this means, you can see, for example, here why traders care. Consumer price account for majority of overall inflation. Inflation is important to the currency valuation because rising prices lead the central bank to raise interest rates out of respect for the inflation containment. Now, when it comes to Dixie, and that's what we need to speak on right now, where is the market heading? What is the market doing? What are our positions doing? And most of them are very much in profit. And then we need to, of course, also speak about new positions, right? So let's speak about the current status of the market. As you can see, Dixie is rising. I marked out here in yellow where the CPI came out. So from that point, we rose so far around 0.01%. Maybe it was a little bit more towards the downside over here. So around 0.1%, we're going to 98.5, which is touching the EMA 200 again. From there on, I truly believe we're going to go down again. I don't see a reason for Dixie at current state to rise above the EMA 200. We see a very strong trend that has been continuously going on since 99 was broken towards the downside, or we retouched 99 close to 99 point, as you can see here, 99.35, right? From there on, we're going down, which is, of course, this whole move going from here to here is good for risky assets, is good for the equity markets, is good for stocks, it is good for everything we invest in majorly, right? Now we will see a little bit of a rise again. The reason is the CPI. It came out higher than expected, which then is good for the Dixie. And you can see the correlation very well here in the US 10, which is the US 10 yearly government bonds. You can see we are rising right now. The yields are going up, which of course means more money is going into the Dixie. Okay. I don't think it's going to be long lived. I think it's going to be a painful day for maybe 1 or 2 days where we're going to see some corrections in metals somewhere in between 1 to 3% and in equities, but that doesn't change anything in the future. Okay. I'm still heavily bullish on metals and certain equities. Okay. Now, that's the impact of the news in the market. Besides that, there's no other news right now or as of now that are interesting. Watch, of course, here the EMA 200. What is Dixie going to do around that? If we don't break it and we continue bearish, very good for the markets. If we break above it, retest it and stay above it, there could be a little bit more chop over the next couple of days coming up. Okay, but I don't see an issue because it was pretty much priced in. Okay, Dixie dropping was priced in terms of inflation. And therefore no rate cuts. Then we go into the VIX. VIX is a little bit elevated. Some volatility is coming in. As you can see, we have been rising here at around 8 to 10% from the bottom. So there is some volatility coming in as of now. Reason for that is just the CPI that came out. I think continuously, if there is no de-escalation when it comes to Iran and US, we will stay lower in the VIX. Then when we speak about the S&P, We're gonna go here to SPY. You can see now we are breaking a little bit. That's because of the CPI. Also here, I believe we're gonna continue to see a run up. We are currently up currently up 5.4%. to the peak, 6.16% in profit with our call, or basically our straddle, which is in profit overall. So we're going long and short, and we're doing pretty well on that. Okay, so we wanna see a close most likely today below the last candle, and then maybe have a small pullback and then come up again. Again, I think it's very short-lived. Same thing, of course, is for metals, right? We are seeing gold, and I'm actually a little bit worried about gold, because if you compare gold to, for example, platinum over the last couple of days has been up to the peak yesterday with 10.86%. Silver has been up 18.51%, and you can see the little dip now. It's catching up again. Same for platinum. You can see the dip, but it's catching up again. So there's a lot of demand here on silver and platinum and copper. If we go now into copper doesn't even care about CPI. There's a little bit of a wake towards the downside, and that's it, right? But we seeing an upside reaction right now. So copper very, very bullish, right? I continue to be very bullish. Copper, we are up 9.25% since our entry, and I called it multiple times in the last update, and I called it in my daily updates that people should be aware of copper and silver after this long breakout here, and continuous bullishness, even though gold is struggling, because in gold we still have to overcome the selling area. We are still in a bearish correction level, and maybe if I go into a cleaner chart you see it better. Let me pull up this one. You can see we are still here in gold in a correction level bearish, which we are reacting out of. And then above it, we have a bearish correction level. And all in all, if you look at this price action, we are still pretty bearish on gold. Okay. Now, important for us is really to see a break. And we spoke about that last time, of this bearish structure and or correction level. And then, of course, the major one, which is this one here. To really see a break above that. And if you compare that to silver, for example, we already did that. If you compare that to platinum, we already did that, right? If you compare it to copper, even more, we are close to all-time highs, right? It's another 2-3% and we break the all-time high. So there's a lot of momentum here to play with, okay? Then we go into TACK, which is a mining company, and TACK is doing very well. We are up 37%. As of now, if I adjust it to today, we are up 33%. We have a morning star, a shooting star over here, sorry, a morning star in the sense of bullishness, now coming in bearish. So we need to be a little bit careful of that. I don't really like to see that, but it's going to be a long-term hold anyways. TACK still has a lot of potential until C target. It's another 60% or so. We reacted perfectly here in the bullish correction level, and we are doing very, very, very well, right? Earnings were also overall very, very positive 2 weeks ago, so we're also doing very well over here. So TACK, very good hold, very good position. And now let's go into Copex, which is another copper mining company. Of course, doing well because copper is doing very well. Then we have EMPUY, which is Impala Platinum Holdings, which is a platinum South African mining company, one of the largest, or the largest, single largest. We are up 19% as of now, which is also doing very well. We have IPX, which is Hyperion, which is one of my newest positions, which is up now 21% at the peak, 28%. Hyperion is something you should dig into, do some of your own due diligence and check what they do. Very good thesis for me in terms of the materials that they produce and how they're going to be used and are being used in defensives. And it seems like the US government is involved. It's a US company and it produces a certain material, but the rest you can check out for yourself, right? I'm not going to spill all of the tea here, but it makes sense for me. Okay, CRCL. Not a very interesting one. As you guys know, we have been buying CRCL multiple times during this year already and made a lot of profits, even though here in the past we bought pretty low, made a lot of percent. And then the same thing over here. CRCL, just yesterday broke its recent highs and is now, of course, seeing a little bit of struggle because of the CPI. And we are, as of now, up 45%, yesterday 50%. Doing very well. Maybe you can think about adding to these positions once they do a little bit better. Now, Coinbase has been a little bit choppy. Coinbase, we got stopped out once. I re-entered, and since the re-entry, we are up 13% as of now. I'm trading that at 3x leverage, so that's 13% x 3, so around 35%, something like that. So also doing very well. Hood is something that is struggling a lot because of bad earnings 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, something like that. And here's my entry. So I'm looking more to, because my option is running out in a couple of days, mostly just close break even, and most likely not re-enter because Hood is just doing very bad in terms of earnings. Then PayPal is one of the newest positions I entered after the earnings, and earnings came out pretty positive. And still we are seeing a bearish reaction. Main reason I think for that is that there's not so much interest as of right now, and the financial sector in general is very unstable. Also a reason why they won't change the rates in the near future. Okay. PayPal, I'm going to leave this position open. I'm projecting a reaction somewhere here in the buy area. If it's now or if it's some price ticks lower, it doesn't really matter. But I still see a lot of bullishness in PayPal. We are at all-time lows. It's still having good earnings. Main reason why we dropped so far last time was because of negative earnings, but we catched up on that. And there was some bullishness coming in. So I'm just going to wait for that to pick up. Now, a very interesting one we need to speak about is NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA, you can see we are breaking the all-time highs, even though CPI just came out. There's still a lot of bullishness, and the main reason for that is if you go into chatter flow and you check just alone flow overview, and you go to, for example, let's say today is the 12th, let's say 11 to 12, okay? So just the last 2 days. We'll see NVIDIA is leading with 242 million worth of premium long, right? And there's nothing really on the opposition side. There's no bearish flow really. So NVIDIA and Tesla are leading, and Intel are leading the bullish flows. The main reason why there's so much inflow from NVIDIA is because Intel, AMD, all of the semiconductor space is already very, very, very high, right? If you go into let's say Intel, right, you can see this craziness here. Okay, Intel is now very close of hitting C target over here, which is very interesting for us. C target normally means that's where we start bearish corrections and you can see how Intel in the last weeks just did 634%, guys. Then we go into AMD, and we spoke about it last time, but I just want to speak about it because it just continues, right? AMD, I put my chart set up here, that was 2 weeks ago, right? And from that alone, we rose over 100%. So AMD, same thing, insane bullishness, okay? And that money is flowing out a little bit now because it's pretty much overbought AMD, Intel, semiconductors in general. And where is it flowing into? Into NVIDIA, of course. Why not, right? NVIDIA still just recently cracked its high, which we ended up in a little dip afterwards. Over here you can see accumulated some more buys, and now we're really breaking through. It's not a entry that I would usually take, but considering the insane bullish flows over here, and even if we go into beginning of the month until today, you will see most likely NVIDIA coming out pretty much at the top. So let's just give that a second to load. But there is a lot of rebalancing from, let's say, MU, from AMD. You can see that here. So it's a perfect play of what I was just explaining, right? From beginning of the month until today, NVIDIA is number one. You can see MU, AMD is selling off, right? You have 750 million in premium of MU, and AMD 260. Where's this money going? Most likely in profit taking into in NVIDIA to a certain extent, right? People are not sick and tired yet of Intel. Intel is still pushing, pretty bullish, but you can see that there's a lot of money going into NVIDIA just because at the end of the day, there is still a lot of price discovery potential. Okay, again, we still are, as of right now, 50%, close to 50% away from C target, whilst others like AMD, Intel, the ones we just spoke about, already are at C target or close to it. Okay, so money will flow into here. That's why I have a little bit of a riskier entry. You can see my entry over here, number one, my entry over here, number two, just classic breakout based on bullish flow. Okay. Now going into SPY, right, which is the S&P, we need to see how market is reacting right now. So if we go into SPY right now, we have more bearish flow. That's on the opening today. Let's go into historical flow, and let's put in SPY, and let's put in beginning of the month until today. So search today. You can see that we are now ending up in more bearish flow. So we need to be very careful, and that's the main thing I want to speak about in this video now for the future, is we need to be very careful of this stock race in especially the semiconductor space and in the S&P. I don't think we're gonna stop now. I think there's still potential in the equity markets towards the end of the month, but then ending the financial quarters and then going into summertime, there will be a lot of profit taking. So I think the equity markets are going to take a bigger hit because most of these insane gains are very unsustainable, especially in the semiconductor space that is keeping the S&P up a lot. And so we need to be careful on that side. Metals, I still see a very good future. Silver just broke out of a very, very, very long pattern, right? Even if I go here and I marked it out and I spoke about it, so I just want to pull it up one more time. Here you can see silver, right? Silver was breaking out of the EMA 50, breaking out of this triangle over here, which is very, very good. And now we are even higher, so there could be a big squeeze. Then we have Nvidia, right? And that's also another supporter for the thesis why I'm longing Nvidia right now. It is the comparison between Nvidia and SMH, right? SMH is semiconductors, and then you have Nvidia. There's a big discrepancy of what Nvidia needs to catch up, and while this comes down, this will go up, right? It will just be a rebalancing flow into Nvidia from all of these insane gains because it's just logic, okay? Any new positions that I'm looking at QWEB, which I want to wait for a break above because it's still very, very bearish. Also same here, if we go into, now I closed it, my bad, I wanted to show you that. Also big lag here in between QQQ and QWEB. Here you can see that is China tech, that is American tech, a big gap, right? So I guess towards more the end of the war, more resolution, there could be a big pump in QWEB. So I'm looking for QWEB in general. Besides that, semiconductors are all pushing so insanely high. Even here, SK Hynix, which is a South Korean company producing into semiconductors, also insanely high. So I don't see any reason to enter that and to buy at the top. It's already too late in my opinion. So I'm gonna more look now for the flow into Nvidia. I'm gonna be more focused on PayPal. Waiting for reaction here, and then two of the biggest players I have open right now is Coinbase and CRCL, and you're seeing there's a lot of buy pressure now, sell pressure coming into CRCL because of the CPI, but that is not gonna be long lasting. You can see, of course, we are rising as we were just saying to the EMA 200. So let's really see how it continues over here. I am not intending to take any profits. Still very, very bullish on metals towards the end of the year. More cautious on the equity side. Monitoring trends and flows every day, especially if we go into a flow overview for today, and let's say we see too much negative flow on some of these stocks, we need to start to be careful, especially when it comes to semiconductors like MU and that there's not much more today. We just opened markets around 20 minutes ago. Okay, so we still need to track the flow from today, how the equity markets and especially semiconductor space is reacting towards the CPI news. Okay, Bitcoin. I was trying to short Bitcoin, or not trying. I was shorting Bitcoin. It was a little bit of a riskier one. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Bitcoin is holding pretty much at the 80K level. We are not seeing any bearishness coming in, which is of course good. Now we need to see with CPI, we should come a little bit lower, maybe to the value low over here at 80, but as long as we hold 80, I'm still pretty bullish on crypto. The only thing about BTC in general is that we are at a finish of a bearish sequence, of a bullish sequence, which is this one. As you can see, we're bouncing off the EMA 200 here, having problems. So there might be a good facilitator coming in the next days, whatever it might be, for Bitcoin to drop back to 71.5, which would be 11% drop for a re-entry. So I'm very much looking for a re-entry buy here long term. Very bullish, of course, but short term, it's going to be a little bit difficult to find an entry here, as price is pretty choppy, right? There is still a lot of buys coming in and a lot of volume and a lot of interest in BTC. As soon as we build a bearish sequence and we have it active, something like this, right? As soon as we activate it, I'm going to look for re-entries, maybe somewhere over here sells, but for that, the structure needs to be activated. That means we need to see a price drop of Bitcoin below the last low, which is here at 79, and we need to see a close below that, then a rebound, and then I will most likely sell into the bearish correction level, which would be something similar to that, right? That would be more a confirmed sell. But until that doesn't happen, I'm just going to wait out. I already took my risk over here for early entry, but it's kind of didn't work out that much. Now, gold intraday, when we speak about that, of course, we are reacting a little bit bearish now to the CPI. It was very difficult, very choppy. You can see I had 2 stop loss hits intraday trading on gold just because of a lot of manipulation. You can see how we just got stopped out over here, unfortunately, then again with a lot of volume. So there is a lot of difficulty right now with gold. There's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, pressure comes from both sides. So it seems to be a very difficult right now to trade gold. So I'm just waiting for more clear price actions, since also you're seeing a lot of wicks all over the chart, which makes trading just choppier. Okay, S&P, let's go into that for a second. Okay, yeah, we're seeing some negativity here, which is CPI reaction. All in all, guys, key reminders here. I'm going to stay consistently bullish on metals. Don't see a reason for that not going up, especially not mining stocks. Stocks in general, like equity, like CRCL, Coinbase and stuff like that, I'm going to be more careful, just seeing how flow continues. Nvidia, I'm very bullish on, and you can see it just doesn't give a shit. Sorry for my English, when it comes to CPI, even though you see a big reaction now in CRCL, for example, Nvidia just keeps pushing just because the thesis of rebalancing from semiconductors makes a lot of sense. So if you can find yourself an entry here in Nvidia, I think it could become very, very profitable. Crypto is becoming more and more interesting. I want to see as I just said recently, I want to see a correction to the 50% level for Bitcoin, and I want it to hold. Once that holds and shows us bullishness, then I'm going to be very bullish on crypto. Even though I already called official buy here at the 68k, 70k area, we are up now 12-13%, something like that. But for me to really become heavier bullish in crypto, I want to see a correction, and I want to see a push up, and a sharp push up, which means there is a lot of interest in crypto. Okay, with that being said, guys, that's a market update. Make sure to follow my Instagram account, link is below. If you want to start trading, all the links are below. Check out the description, and any comments, anything you need, let me know too. See you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.